Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here. My name is Andrew, coming to you from the beautiful Carolinas. Today's topic is going to be why this time isn't different for the narcissist. Think about that for a minute. Everyone, if you like the content, please like, subscribe, and share. So, this is a video in reference to post-relationship, when many times people think that the narcissist is off with the new supply, living their best life. They're using all of the emojis, the filters, and they are everywhere under the sun, but with you. Now, the truth of the matter is, you don't want the narcissist in your life. You may think you do, you don't. You may have thought you did. Well, back then you didn't know what you know now. You weren't taught Narcissism 101 in school, so how could you know there was such a thing as A narcissist, B, a trauma bond, C, physical, mental, emotional, financial, and spiritual abuse, and that this person did all of those things and more knowingly and willingly, and that they targeted you. You didn't know any of those things, and now when the relationship has ended, before you acquired the wisdom, you were reeling, you were stuck, you didn't know what was going on, your world had just blown up. You did not at times want to even make it another day, but you did because you're here. That's why you're resilient, that's why you're committed, that's why you're determined, and that's why you are stronger than you know. And that's why this time isn't different for the narcissist. You must remember, when the relationship ended that you are considering, most likely you were discarded. Doesn't mean you were, but most likely you were. I can assure you one thing. You experienced micro discards throughout that whole relationship, and what they were when the narcissist was mistreating you, disrespecting you, triangulating you, blaming you, gaslighting you, throwing rage fits and moving cars, financially abusing you, not introducing you to people, walking 30 feet in front of you, hanging up on you, and so many more things. Remember, you couldn't do anything right when you were in that relationship. You thought you could have. You thought you could fix an irreparable relationship. You thought that that person was committed. You thought that that person loved you and cared about you, and they wanted to grow old with you or spend a lot of time with you in some relationship at some capacity. Well, now you know it was all an illusion. It was all a house of cards. It was all the narcissist wearing a mask to manipulate you, to trap you, to trick you, to keep you in that cycle of abuse, spinning around more and more and more. So essentially you were working for them. Now, I've shared the term working for the narcissist for so many years in videos. I'll break it down for a quick moment. What working for the narcissist means is essentially you were giving them access to you, and you were at their beck and call via text, in person, email, if they wanted you to do something, if they wanted you to pick up laundry or pick up the kids or pay a bill or loan them money even though you wouldn't get it back, or be there waiting for them, or cook dinner, or clean, or give them a ride, or help their best day out, or babysit their siblings' kids, whatever it was, you were providing utility for them. And the more utility you provided for the narcissist, the more they pushed your button. The more they pushed your buttons, the less you had to give. The less you had to give, the more they looked for your replacement. That's why you were giving the narcissist not only supply, but that's why you were doing things for them, and you were working for them. Now, when the relationship ended, as I began to share with you, you did not know what narcissism was. The narcissist did not give you closure. They did not rip the mask off and say, this is who I am, it's what I did to you, and what are you going to do about it now? They didn't do that. If you called them the narcissist, they probably called you the narcissist, because they can't take the shame. They can't face the reality, and they don't want the truth to come out. Most likely you didn't call them the narcissist because you probably didn't figure it out until well after that relationship ended. You, unlike most people, are resilient. You were determined to crack the code and figure out what had happened to you. And that's why you're here in the community. That's why you're getting your cup full. And that's why either you have healed or you are healing. But when you didn't know what you know now, you were supposed to be thinking about the narcissist. They wanted to live in your mind rent-free. They wanted you pining for them. They wanted you still having, they wanted still to have access to you. They wanted you not to advance in life. They wanted you essentially, and this is a tough pill to swallow, but they wanted you to give up in so many different ways. That's why when these relationships end, they end with a thud, a bang, and a crash, and they come out of left field. And usually you don't know what just hit you. Well, now you're understanding a little bit more, or maybe a lot more. What just hit you was the behemoth, the juggernaut, the apex predator, the narcissist. They had instilled the smear campaign, blown up anything about you that made you you, stole your mindset, stole your attention, your time, your money, your relationships, probably your health, your job, your favorite restaurants, and more. When they took all that, Then they said, I'm gonna leave, or maybe they just discarded you, or maybe you came home to an empty house, or maybe you put up a boundary one night and it was a Thursday night almost 5 years ago, and the next day the moving van was there with 2 big movers, and that was it. Who knows how it ended? The point is, it ended when it was supposed to. Tough pill to swallow. You may say, well, why would you say it ended when it was supposed to? It's because each and every narcissistic relationship has an expiration date. You may not think they do, but they do. And if you really want to drill down, every relationship has an expiration date. Think about it, they do, because no one is guaranteed to be here tomorrow or for the rest of eternity. We all leave the planet. Having said that, the narcissistic relationship is the relationship from hell. It will take you super high and drop you super low. The narcissist will dump all their toxicity into you, leave you reeling, leaving you confused, leaving you not want to get out of bed, leaving you wondering what had just happened, and not give you closure. That's what I was focusing on in the beginning of this video. I'm going to go back to it. When the narcissist didn't give you closure post-relationship, that was by design, so that you would be getting the knife twisted in you deeper and deeper, and you wouldn't figure it out, and you would be contacting or trying to or want to contact or hoping that person, i.e. the narcissist, will contact you so you could keep that connection still going. The narcissist knew this. You didn't. The narcissist had done this before. You were never in a cycle before, so this wasn't your fault. But when you were still secretly waiting to hear from them, or hoping they would pick up the phone, or wanting to get answers to questions as to what's going on, well, they knew that, because this is all by design. It's all the way the narcissist used the same playbook, and they all use the same techniques, behaviors, and tactics to manipulate people. Now, I hope you understand that part of the video. If you don't, you should play it and play it a few times. When the narcissist didn't give you closure and it ended, they most likely had a new source of supply that you either A, knew about, or B, didn't know about. Any way you cut it, they usually go off when they take the most from anybody, which was you, and it certainly was me, and they usually have a supply source lined up. Now, who is that new supply? I told you in many videos recently, the new supply is only one of 3 people. 1, they're a toxic person like the narcissist, maybe even worse. 2, they're a clean slate, which means they're naive, they're vulnerable, they don't know anything about narcissism, which probably was who you were, and they're ripe for the picking because they're too trusting, and maybe they're new in the area, or maybe they just lost a loved one, or maybe they're new at the job, or maybe they're younger, or maybe they're older. Who knows what's going on, but they're vulnerable. And the 3rd person they could be is a recycled source of supply, and that's possible. Now, when the narcissist inserted a new source of supply post-relationship, again, let's say you knew who it was or you didn't, you were thinking that the narcissist and that person were living the best life, that they were in the bedroom for the weekend having a great time, or they were going to Mexico or Tahiti for a month, or they were going to get married and build a new house in a new city, town, or state, or they were going to live off of all your hard work that you invested into the narcissist in that relationship. That is not what happens. You may think it is what happens. That's not what happens. What happens is the same cycle will repeat with the new supply, no matter who they are. And I explained they could only be one of 3 people. That's a fact. They can't be any other person. And the new supply will get peppered with abuse. Unless they are toxic themselves, then they will pepper the narcissist with abuse. Any way you cut it, the cycle will continue to repeat. It will just compete without you in it. It will compete with the toxic apex predator in another cycle with another person. This is why they leapfrog from relationship to relationship, leaving the former relationship they were a part of reeling and stuck and pining and giving them no closure. So hopefully those people don't exist. That's what the narcissist really wants. And they go to the new supply and they can paint the narrative however they want to about what happened with the old supply. This is why the narcissist isn't accountable. It's why they can't introspect. It's why they don't care about anybody but themselves. And that's why this is no different. This time, it's not different for the narcissist. It's the same cycle. It's the same behaviors. It's the same patterns, just being repeated over and over and over again with a new person. There are nuances and differences between you and the new supply, and I will share a couple. Maybe the new supply is taller than you, or shorter than you, or younger than you, or older than you, or maybe they're not the same zodiac sign, or maybe they have more money than you, or less money than you. Maybe they have a lot of hair, maybe they have no hair, maybe they have a great job, maybe they're unemployed, maybe they are a instructor at some community, maybe they're a student at some community. Who knows who they are? But that person is providing something for the narcissist. And once the narcissist gets jaded or bored with the new supply, then that person also will begin to experience the toxicity at such a level similar to what you experienced, but probably worse. It doesn't mean it will be worse, but you must remember, and you can say it with me, you could probably say it ahead of me now, As the narcissist gets older, they become the aging narcissist. And the aging narcissist is, that's right, they're not a pretty sight to see. What they do is they continue to go in the old toolbox of abuse. They know when to triangulate, they know when to blame shift, they know when to ghost, they know when to hang up the phone, they know when to gaslight, they know when to project, they know when to throw a rage fit, they know when to do whatever they want to do to guilt, to blame, and to keep the new supply trapped in the cycle. Again, this is all assuming the new supply is not toxic or worse than the narcissist, but anything's possible. Who knows who the new supply is, and to be fair, who cares? Having said all those things, at one point you were the new supply, and you too were manipulated. You were fooled, you were thinking, this is before you knew what narcissism was, you were thinking this time's going to be different for you, that you finally found the love of your life, you finally found the yin to your yang, you finally found someone who can complete you, and that who thinks like you do, and that loves the same music, and loves the same dishes, and loves to spend the exact same hours of the day just the way you do. Well, that's how it appeared in the beginning of the relationship until it didn't. When it stopped when the narcissist stopped behaving that way, or either those experiences started to dissipate or eventually fade away, because they always do, that meant that the narcissist now knew that they had their fangs sunken into you. Enter devaluation stage, exit love bomb / euphoric stage. At that point, you are now in the second part of the narcissistic abusive cycle. And as they were manipulating you and stealing everything out from underneath you, your relationships, your hobbies, hopes, dreams, aspirations, goals, money, health, if I didn't say that, and so much more, they were grooming other sources of supply behind your back, maybe even in front of you. Now you may say, how can you prove that they were grooming other sources of supply behind my back? Well, think about this. If you made it this far in the video, first of all, most likely the person you're considering is toxic at the very least. Second of all, they could be narcissistic. Who knows who they are, but they're not a healthy human being. And if they are toxic, then they are going to be using, or the narcissist, they're going to be using the same playbook, which means it just continues to go around and around and around in a loop. That's why these relationships are not sustainable. That's why they all head to Destructionsville. That's why they all have an expiration date. That's why the narcissist never gives you closure. That's why the narcissist wants to leave the door just open, just a crack, so they can kick it back open at a later date. That's why if you don't batten down the hatches and close the gates and shut all avenues of communication from the narcissist and anybody associated with them to you, they could try to hoover you at a later date. Remember, for those of you on the channel, or maybe this is your first video ever consuming, what is a hoover? I will tell you what a hoover is. A hoover is when the narcissist is testing the temperature of you. It doesn't mean they want to get back in a relationship with you. It means they are seeing if they still matter to you. They are seeing if they're still living in your mind rent-free. They are seeing if they can still pull on your heartstrings or get a couple dollars out of you, or have you think that the past wasn't that bad. This is what these people want to do, because they need people, they need supply, they need to be needed, they need control, they need to isolate people, they need to abandon people, they need to disrupt people's futures, hopes, dreams, aspirations, relationships, goals, and purpose. And they accomplish all of that and more when you were in the relationship. Until when? That's right, until they can't any longer. And when they can't, that's when you finally go no contact, get off the radar of that person or those people. You block them, delete them, remove them and all flying monkeys and people associated with them, and you begin to heal. Or you've already have healed, and maybe you're blocking them today. It's the first day. I can't tell you, but what you need to understand is that why it's not going to be different this time for the narcissist, because it's never different. The illusion, the appearance is that it's different. With the new supply, I can assure you, let's say that you did know who the new supply was, and I hope you didn't, but let's say you did. I can assure you, you were comparing yourself with the new supply. You were thinking, what do they have that I don't? You were thinking, why didn't the narcissist pick me? You were saying, I can't believe that they're going for that person. I'm so much better. I've got so much going for me, or whatever you were saying. But again, that's when you didn't know what you know now. You were naive. You didn't have the wisdom. You didn't realize this was a vortex you were being sucked into, and you would continue to spiral downward and downward and downward, which is what the narcissist wanted you to do, until you finally saw the light at the end of the tunnel. You cracked the code, you found the needle in a haystack, and you realized, wait, that's all of the narcissist toxicity. It's all their problems, all their issues, all their baggage, all their drama, all their chaos, confusion, manipulation, and all their problems, and they dumped it all into me. And I used to be so kind, loving, empathetic. I used to be lighter than the air, and I used to just think the world was the best place on the planet, and I had so much promise. Well, remember, there are 3 versions of you. The first version of you is who you were before you met the narcissist, and that version was what I just explained. The second version of you was when you were in the narcissistic abusive cycle, being peppered with abuse. That's when you were the unpaid helper, the walking apology, the pawn, the pupper, the indentured servant, and more. And the third version of you, the strongest, most galvanized version of you known to humankind, is when you are out here like this, in the abundance, in the Carolina forest, with the hawks flying around, and the birds, and Mother Nature, and the leaves turning, and there's peace, and there's abundance, and there's quiet, and there's serenity and calmness, and there's no toxicity anywhere near me. And my hope is there isn't anywhere near you. And this is also when you've acquired the wisdom. You see, you've changed, you've elevated, you've ascended, you've grown. The narcissist hasn't done anything other than, as I shared, continues to stay in that cycle. It's just the same cycle going around with a different person, or different people, or recycled people. And you were in that cycle at one point, but you're out. That's why you're different than almost everybody, if not everybody, that the narcissist had ever encountered, because they never met somebody like you. They never met somebody as strong as you, and they know it. So A, number one, you are the one that got away, whether you know it or not. B, you're the one who will be looking in the rearview mirror and saying, I cannot believe I was in that relationship. I cannot believe what I did, what I tolerated, what I experienced, and that I made it out in one piece and that I've healed, because that will happen. And then number 3, you'll be saying, wow, that person has so much baggage. They have so many problems. Nobody, and I mean nobody, is ever going to get anything but toxicity from them. Because why? That's right. Because this time isn't different for the narcissist. It's the same cycle. The cycle starts by the narcissist. The narcissist lures people into that web, then they punish those people for being themselves, and then they get them hooked on the narcissist, and then the dirty fangs come out, and then that person gets everything taken from them: their mind, their money, their relationships, hopes, dreams, goals, aspirations, health, and more. And that person, the new supply, they may not make it out. I can't tell you if they will or won't. What I can tell you is you did. And what I care about is you who's getting your cup full, you who's getting the wisdom, and you who is applying the tools. You need to understand why this time isn't different for the narcissist. It will never be different for them. They will break every relationship they're ever a part of. They will destroy as many lives as they can. They will laugh at people, mock them, give them the smirk, give them the side eye, and say, yeah, what are you going to do about it? That's your problem. This is what these people do. So before I close the video, I'll just share this. If you were in the middle of the ocean, just you and the narcissist, and this is when you were in the relationship with them, and a big wave came and capsized the boat or whatever it was, and there's only one life preserver on that boat, you better bet your bottom dollar that the narcissist, no matter who they were, they would do anything they could, fight tooth and nail to get that life vest on them and not think twice about you. And you may think, well, I'm not so sure about that. Think again. You now know something that very few people know. The narcissist cares about one person. It isn't you. It isn't the new supply. And that's why this time it won't be different for the narcissist, because they're doomed to continue to repeat the same patterns of abuse over and over and over again. And all they want to do is find a target, a subject, a vulnerable person, a naive person, or someone believing in the mask, so they can pepper that person with abuse more and more and more. So everyone, that's the video. I hope you liked it. I loved doing it from the beautiful Carolinas. This is Andrew. Namaste. Have a great afternoon, evening, or morning. No matter where you are on the planet, you are not alone. I love you all, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Understand something before I close the video. Why this time isn't different for the narcissist? Because it's the same person. The common denominator in the narcissistic relationship you're considering, it's that narcissist. And they are doomed to repeat the same patterns, and they know it. But they will never admit it. They will never take responsibility. They will never apologize and mean it. They will never, ever have the ability to love or to feel empathy. They can steal love and empathy from people. They can steal people's money. They can steal people's time, and they can blame them for doing it, because that's what they do. At the end of the day, the narcissist is a dark energy source, and they know it. And they're looking for a beautiful, bright, shining light like you to steal from. And they did their best job when they were in that relationship with you, but they can no longer steal anything from you, because you've gone no contact. You've acquired the wisdom, and you're learning boundaries, and you're maintaining boundaries. And above all, you now understand what the narcissist is capable of, and you want nothing to do with them. That's why you need to get off the radar of these people and stay away from them as far and as fast as you possibly can. I love you all. God bless you, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye, everybody. Bye.